And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and then just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And welcome to my Scream Factory, Shout Factory, Boutique Spotlight. This is the biggest one that I've got, of course. You know, they have been the most widely available and the best prices for a lot longer than everybody else. There are a lot of boutiques, I think, that are following suit. Some of them in the past have made the mistake of trying to mimic the wrong boutique. Code Red and Olive Films, both of which were great, are two that come to mind who ended up going out of business and, failing because they were trying to mimic, I believe, anyway, they were trying to mimic Vinegar Syndrome and Synapse and some of the more predatory ones. Then you have people like Arrow and Kino Lorber and MVD, boutiques like that who seem to be trying to mimic the success of Scream Factory and Shout Factory, making decent runs, making distribution deals through third-party retailers such as Walmart, Amazon, the big stores on eBay like Pop Market and Groove Entertainment. And I think that that's the reason why they're being a lot more successful, is because they're doing it the right way. And so since Scream Factory and Shout Factory have been the ones who have been doing that the longest, they are of course my biggest collection. So I will be cutting this into two videos so that I don't have to go through them as fast, because I do have a pretty healthy Scream and Shout Factory collection. There may be some that I overlooked in my collection. I do keep them all together, but if you happen to get one that's part of a franchise, you might stick it with the franchise. But I tried to look for that, so I think I got them all. But anyway, we're going to have some fun. Or at least I'm going to have some fun and remind myself of some movies that I have because sometimes I forget and surprise myself when I look through my collection and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot I had that. So we're going to start out with this one. And this is part one of my boutique spotlight for Scream and Shout Factory, and let's get it on. So this is Itsy Bitsy, Scream Factory, of course. I just got this recently. It'll be in next month's update. So I finally pulled the trigger and got Itsy Bitsy, which is nice. It does have a reversible cover, as most of Scream Factory does. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this little arachnid movie. And this is from my Charles Bronson collection. I had to get it from the franchise where I have all of Charlie's movies, the Death Wish movies, and so forth. So yeah, this is Scream Factory's unrated edition of Charles Bronson's Death Wish 2. Everybody knows Death Wish is my favorite vengeance films. And I love Death Wish 2 and the original Death Wish, which are actually one movie in my opinion, since it picks up right where the first one left off. I also love all the rest of them. They got sillier as they went along, but 4 and 5 is a little, but I still love them anyway. But 1, 2, and 3 are especially good. So yes, that's Charles Bronson and Death Wish 2. Yes, it does have the reversible cover as well. So let's grab a stack and start looking. And here we have the collector's edition of Candyman. This is the original. Very glad to have it. That's the DVD that I used, not that I used to have, because there it is right there. It's got the reversible cover that everybody remembers, the theatrical cover. Very glad to have Candyman. Oh, I can't open these without messing them up, can I? Here it goes. Here we start. We have the theatrical cut. And the unrated cut. And the DVD. Okay, that was a lot of trauma. It's Rowdy Roddy Piper and John Carpenter's They Live. Really, really glad to have this remaster. This is my favorite Roddy Piper movie. The original theatrical cover. Scream is very good about doing the reversible covers on most of their stuff. And there we go. Doing it. I guess that's going to be part of everyone. I really do love They Live, and I'm really glad to have the collector's edition remaster. Who is this? Oh, it is the collector's edition of The Howling. Scream Factory's The Howling. Now, I do have that Scream Queen thing that I was very, very disappointed in. I wish I hadn't got it, because it was like one of their crappier releases, so I did turn around and get this individually. This is probably, this is my favorite werewolf movie, The Howling. Top 5 would be The Howling and Dog Soldiers, American Werewolf in London. So, it's at the top. The Final Terror. I love this. Part of my slasher collection. One of those 80s slashers. Okay. Jesus. Boy, this isn't going well, is it? Is it Saturday night? What is the problem? Is it a full moon? I can't see the moon. I'm in Florida. We just had Francine stick a little bit our way. But yeah, this is The Final Terror. I absolutely love this movie. It's just so full of nostalgia. It's the original Black Christmas collector's edition. Okay, it wants to do that, doesn't it? Every time. Yes. Are you telling me I can't open my movies? This is going to be a disaster. The original Black Christmas, absolutely love it. I also love the 2006 remake. The whatever that crap was they did in 2019 or whatever it was, the reboot. Or whatever that was. I don't know. That's like one of the top 10 worst movies of all time. But this and the 2006 remake, I really love the 2006 remake as well. So, yes, I'm very glad to have the original Black Christmas. It is Kurt Russell and the Scream Factory remaster of Escape from New York. With the old Blu-ray that I had. Glorious. Glorious. Snake. Snake. Oh my God. It's Snake Plissken. But yes. Absolutely love this. And this is Cherry Falls. kind of rare. I think this was, this was very sad about this movie because, this movie is barely above PG-13. And I think the only reason that it's rated R is because of the subject matter. But I really don't understand that, because if you were going to do a movie with this subject matter, why wouldn't you make it a hard R horror movie instead of something that really should have been PG-13, in my opinion? And I've always been very disappointed about that. So has a lot of people. And if I remember the article correctly that I read about this movie, Scream Factory and Shout Factory did beg them for any footage that was left. But unfortunately, all of the footage that was cut out of this movie was destroyed, was thrown away, because back then they weren't doing this. Director's cuts, remasters, extended cuts, those kinds of things are actually rather new to the industry. The last 15 years or so, they've really gotten very, very big. I think it kind of started like with the special edition of Aliens, because the theatrical cut is shit, in my opinion. So yeah, it was about, 15, 20 years ago that director's cuts and extended cuts and stuff like that started being a really big thing instead of rare. And so yeah, rather than keep the footage that was cut out of this to make it a barely R movie, there isn't any left. So Scream Factory was not able to create a extended director's cut for this movie, and that's a shame, because I think that it would have been a lot better if they could have made it as bad, as hard as a movie with this particular content and subject matter should be. So yeah, but still, I'm very, very glad to have it. And this is Witchboard. That's Tawny Katane. People may remember her from, she's the girl in White Snake videos, Still of the Night, and Here I Go Again. That's Tawny Katane. She had a troubled later life. I know she married a football player or something, and then she even got arrested for beating his ass. Yeah, she was a tough chick. She actually got arrested for beating the hell out of her football player, quarterback, whatever he was, running back. He was a big motherfucker in any event. And yeah, she got arrested or something like that for beating his ass. It was really funny. But she unfortunately is dead now. Yeah, you recognize her in that red hair from the White Snake Still of the Night videos. I actually love this movie. Witchboard is fantastic. Yes, it's Life Force. Suck all the energy out of you. Space vampires that feed off your energy and leave that mummy-looking husk behind. Great movie. It's one of those blends of sci-fi and horror that works really well. This actually came with a DVD and a Blu-ray. Oh yeah. It's the Blob. It's the chick from The Stand whom I had actual fantasies about beating her to death with a bat. In The Stand with Molly Ringwald and Rob Lowe, the miniseries, the original, the only, the best, the real thing. She was that chick that Rob Lowe and the mentally challenged guy ran into, Mr. M-O-O-N, ran into in that town, and oh my God, she made me sick. She is also the girl from Saw 2. I swear, I don't know. I can't think of her name. It'll come to me if I didn't want it to. I could tell you her name if I didn't want it to, but I'm sure you know it. Put it in the comments and make fun of me. But yeah, this is, who is this, Kevin Dillon? Notice I can remember Kevin Dillon's name. I wonder why that is. But Kevin Dillon, Shawnee. See, it almost came to me. But yeah, The Blob, the remake, I really like it. It's really cool. Move on to the next stack. This was in my last update. This is the Scream Factory remaster of Death Valley. Little serial killer horror movie that I happen to love. Yes, yay. Oh, and this is a DVD Blu-ray combo. We're back with Kurt Russell, the collector's edition of The Thing. Absolutely love it. Actually, I'm one of those people that love the remake. The sequel, reboot. It's not I don't know. What is the 2011 or 2010 one? It's not a sequel, and it's not a remake. It's a companion. But either way, I'm one of those that really, really love that movie, except for the silly CGI at the end. But I really love that movie, and I actually can no longer watch this without watching it, because they are one complete story. So if you watch this, and then you watch the new one, the newer one, if you watch them together, they fit perfectly. You know, the dog runs away, the dog shows up at the other camp, and here it all goes again. So yeah, I really like the remake, and I love watching them together. As a matter of fact, since I got that one, I have not watched this alone by itself without watching the other one behind it. But that's Kurt Russell and the remaster of The Thing. I actually love it. I do have my only complaint about this remaster of theirs is, why do you like the color blue so much? Because the blue tint that they put on everything is pretty strange, but you get used to it. It's still pretty. This is Nightbreed. Oh my god. This is the director's cut of Nightbreed, which I absolutely love. This was always one of my favorite. Clive Barker behind Hellraiser was Nightbreed. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad to have kept on until I found it. As with all of them, they have the reversible covers. Nightbreed, the director's cut. Fantastic. One of my favorite movies of all time, it is Night of the Comet. You cannot get any better than Night of the Comet. Night of the Comet is anything and everything you could ever want in a comedy horror. And Miss Kelly Maroney, fantastic. It's Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager when he was just a baby. And you've got Mary Warnov is in this, whom I love. The guy that was sitting in the rocking chair in the original Salem's Lot. He was the guy that was sitting. What was he? The gravedigger? But he was sitting in that chair. That was one of the most creepy. It was one of the more creepier scenes in Salem's Lot when they walked into that room and he's sitting in the rocking chair. He's in this. Yeah. But I absolutely love Night of the Comet. Very, very glad to have that. My Bloody Valentine. One of my top 10 slashers of all time is My Bloody Valentine. Can't get any better than that either. Disc 2, the uncut version. Disc 1 is the theatrical version. So glad to get to have this. You can definitely tell the inserts are, a couple of them. A couple of them are pretty seamless, but a couple of them you can tell. But it's still cool. It's still cool to have them. One of the funniest movies ever, and that is Bridget Fonda and Bill Pullman in Lake Placid. Oliver Platt, he wants to swim with dragons. Well, you go for it, big boy. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I think this is, I think Bridget Fonda was absolutely a masterpiece. You know, a masterclass of acting is Bridget Fonda in Lake Placid because she is so funny. You know, I'm just supposed to sit around, scratching my ass, like, acting like one of the locals. She is just hilarious. And Betty White, who cannot love this movie? I just don't understand how you could not love this movie. Anybody. Betty White is absolutely phenomenal in it. You know, I just can't believe how she cussed in this movie. But this is great. Lake Placid. I love that Scream Factory remastered this. So, yeah. This is The Lesson. This is a British horror movie about a teacher who got really, really tired of his students fucking with him, so he decided to fuck with them back. I have 2 copies of it. One has the slipcase, and the other is a backup because that's how much I love it. It's the collector's edition of Cat People with Nastasia Kinski. I started to call him Roddy McDowell. What the fuck? This ain't Planet of the Apes. Malcolm McDowell, see? They got the same last name. Roddy McDowell. Planet of the Apes and Poseidon Adventure. Malcolm McDowell. Cat People. And Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. This does have a reversible cover, of course, like they all do. Love this movie. So very creepy. So very cool. It's a really good idea. This is one of the more unique horror movies. I haven't really seen this kind of thing again, you know? So that's good on them. This is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Which one is this? Is this the... Sometimes, no, the reboot thing is him, he's standing there. I don't know. This is one of them. I have both of them. I have the original and the reboot, which I love both of them to death. It's one of those reboot / sequels, not really, but it is. It's strange. But The Town That Dreaded Sundown, both the original and that remake thing, is both wonderful. I do have them both on Blu-ray. This is The Monkey's Paw. This is actually a really good, underrated, independent horror movie. It's Mr. Don't Breathe. Love this movie. Love it, love it, love it. Very glad to have that as well. Moving on. It's Charles Bronson in one of the best. This, funny enough, a lot of people are going to say, what are you talking about? This is actually in my top 10 slashers of all time. People are like, Charles Bronson? I didn't know Charles Bronson made a slasher. Yes, Charles Bronson made a slasher. And that is 10 to Midnight. 10 to Midnight is a complete and total slasher. Bloody, gory, freaks you out. Did you hear that? I opened this thing and the cat started fighting out there and it scared the shit out of me. But yeah, Mr. Charles Bronson himself. This also has Andrew Stevens in it. And this guy's from Cruisin'. And he is like completely naked in the movie. It's quite strange. But that is one of the best slashers ever made. This is Urban Legend. I love Urban Legend. If nothing but to have Lex Luthor from Smallville when he was young. Really young. But I love Urban Legend. Absolutely a fantastic slasher. The original. Is it? Yeah, this is the original. The original assault on Precinct 13, John Carpenter. John Carpenter's assault on Precinct 13. I absolutely love this movie. I'm very, very glad that Scream Factory. A White Hot Night of Hate. Okay. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. And I'm very, very glad that Scream Factory went to the trouble of doing a remaster on it. Another of my top 10 slashers of all time, we have the original, the one and only, the Cannot Be Touched Blu-ray DVD combo of Sleepaway Camp. Yes, absolutely love it. It would definitely be really close. This is in the top 5, actually. There's nothing, it's just it. You know what I'm saying. Another great slasher, this is The Funhouse. This is one of those slashers that it's like, how can you make a really good slasher with only 2 or 3 or 4 people? Because this movie is centered around just those four. Our victim pool is very small compared to other slashers, yet it's still fantastic. What are your thoughts on The Funhouse? I absolutely love it and very glad Scream Factory did that. Continuing with the theme, obviously, here is another of the top 10, my top 10 slashers of all time, and we have The Burning. The Burning is an absolute masterpiece of the slasher genre. It checks all the boxes in all the right ways. The Burning. The original Cannot Be Touched. Drew Barrymore in Stephen King's Firestarter. This is the Scream Factory remaster. What's her name? Heather Locklear. And what's his name? Who was her daddy? David Keith, I believe. But yeah, that remake is just fucking god awful. That was like one of the worst movies of that year. I don't get it. But yeah, you can't beat the original. Stephen King's Firestarter. Drew Barrymore was awesome. This is Ambition. It Can Kill You. From the producers of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Got it with the slip. Great movie. This is The Nest. Another classic 80s WTF. Blu-ray DVD combo pack of The Nest. It's not a reversible cover, it's just a movie clip. Love The Nest. Very underrated. This is Valentine. One of those. People don't like it. I do. People don't think it's cool. I do. But I think it's really coming into its own now. I've heard a lot of people change their opinion about it. A lot of people are seeing it for the absolute coolness that it was, or that it is. We have David Boreanaz from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's Angel. Oh my gosh, it's Angel. I would never really had too much for Angel, actually. I mean, I like the show, but I'm talking about him. He was not, I don't know. He just wasn't. I was into Spike. Okay? I can't help it. Anyway, that's Valentine. I think that is a fantastic, fantastic slasher. You really should have it. It's The Class of 1984. That's the original theatrical artwork, which I prefer over their new artwork. I mean, their new artwork is really cool. It's nice and all, but I still like the classical. I still like the classic theatrical artwork for Class of 1984. Yes. You know that the class of 1999, that is so hard to get. I keep trying to find it. I almost bought it from like Spain or some shit trying to get it. It's just ridiculously expensive. And this is Pumpkinhead. Definitely one of my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time, especially the story. Lance Henriksen, the story between him and his son, the shit that happens, the blood, the gore, the whole atmosphere and the content theme of this movie, the mythology, is just a masterpiece. And that is Pumpkinhead. I just love everything about it. Okay. Darkness Rising. It's one of their older releases. Very, very good movie. Enjoyed it. The Devil's Dolls. I had this on Blu-ray, which is right there. And then found out that, they had... This is the reversible cover, as you can see. So, this is a fantastic movie. You should really see it. If you haven't seen it, it is definitely worth checking out. Very bloody. Very good. And this, of course, is session 9. Fear is a place where the construction crew goes into that mental asylum and all hell breaks loose. I think this is a very, very underrated horror movie. And if you have not seen Session 9, you really should check it out. It's that David Russo. Very, very good. Wonderful, wonderful movie. And so, yeah, there you have it. That is part 1 of my Scream Factory and Shout Factory collection. So, feel free to comment on anything that you saw. Do you have any of these? Did this remind you to get any of these? Let me know in the comments, and I will be back with my part 2. In other words, I have another stack about this big of Scream Factory and Shout Factory, and we will take a look at those in the next video. Love you, miss you, bye-bye. Always remember and never forget, you are a very, very special person no matter what anybody says to you. If they try and tell you anything differently, they are lying. Just go look in the mirror. There's only one of you, and you are the only one of it. And I will see you in the next thing. Bye-bye.